carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon and welcome to the western fringes of the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park. My name is James Hendry and we're looking at a magnificent herd of wildebeest. Mistake there, the Great Limpopo Transfrontier Park, and we're on the western edges on a little game reserve called Djuma, which is part of the Sabi Sands here in northeastern South Africa. My name is James Hendry. On camera today we have got Thabo, the Tusker Island style. There we go. He is hopefully going to be creating some wonderful pictures for us today. And featuring first on your live safari, we have got a herd of wildebeest that are huddled together in these kind of windy conditions, but they're quite warm. I think it'll be chilly tonight, but it's quite warm right now. Please do talk to us during the course of the show. You can do that using the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. Otherwise, you can send us an email to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. That's kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. We'll be coming to you live here from the western Great Limpopo Transfrontier Park, the northern parts of KwaZulu-Natal, the Kalahari Desert in the northwest of South Africa, and also the magnificent Masai Mara of Kenya, where the migration carnival is in full swing. We're going to head off and visit all the waterholes this afternoon and hopefully find ourselves a leopard at some stage. But we'll enjoy these wildebeest for just a little bit longer.
So wonderful to start this very warm afternoon at Djuma with such a great collection of things. We have some antelope, wildebeest with James, and here we have a flap-necked chameleon, a reptile for the afternoon too. Now this is one you would be familiar with. We've visited this chameleon many times before. Its name is Fernando, and my name is TRISHALA, and I've got BK on camera this afternoon down here at Djuma in the Sabi Sands. Remember, it's all happening live, so you can ask me any questions you like about Fernando using that hashtag WildEarth, the YouTube chat stream for our regular viewers, as well as Twitch and other platforms. Now this chameleon likes to hang out at the base of this tree, and we have seen it hunting before. It takes a very long stride and kind of wobbles a little bit, climbs up the tree, and it throws out its very fast tongue to catch its insect prey. It has a preference for flying creatures, especially it likes grasshoppers and flies. And you can see that eye darting about, looking for any little movement that may indicate that a tasty morsel is close by. Hi Sarah, you'd like to know how they change color? Well, it is a bit of a complex idea, but do bear with me. They have 4 different layers to their skin, and each layer has a different type of pigment associated to it. There's a layer of melanocytes. That's a dark layer. There's a layer with carotenoids. That's the layer that would give it reds, yellows, and oranges. And there's also a clear layer, and then there's a layer with iridophores. Iridophores are tiny little cells that have structures, crystals in them, that reflect light in different ways. And the way that they dilate or constrict those cells reveal different layers of their skin, and therefore different colors. And those colors can indicate their mood at the time, whether they've seen another chameleon, and it can actually be a language between chameleons to say, hey, get away, this is my territory. And it can be cued from visual images, stimuli, and also from the mood. Very interesting stuff.
Jumbo, hello, and a very good afternoon to everybody. A warm welcome to Kenya. We are in the Masai Mara Game Reserve, and what we have on the screen for you are what you'd call wild chicken, not wild chicken in that sense, but personally I call them wild chicken because I've eaten them for very many years in my village, but those are guinea hens. My name is David, and on camera with me this afternoon is Bungei. Bungei, how are you, sir? Very excited to have all of you on board, and very interesting to hear about the chameleons, about the colors, and about the mood. But talking about guinea hens here, guinea hens got nothing to do with colors, but when it comes to alarm calling, guinea hens are just wonderful. Anytime you're out here hunting and you hear guinea hens going 9 out of 10 chances there'll be some sort of predator. It could be a cat, but at times it could also be a snake. Well, a very warm Masai Mara, 27 degrees Celsius, 81 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm sure Trishala already told you, keep talking to us, questions, comments. Hashtag Word Earth on Twitter or FC in the comments below at your YouTube chat. And the youngsters, should you have questions or comments, you can send them through emails. Kids questions at wordearth.tv. Now, my plans today is just to tag along the Mara River. I've been here since morning, and luckily this morning we had some wonderful crossing, but at a different spot. So I came to a different area just to see whether I could be lucky, and so far not really, apart from these guinea hens, which if the wildebeest don't cross, maybe we request them to do a small fly over the river, and I'll count I have seen a crossing for the afternoon. Where I come from, once we could eat these chickens or the guinea fowls here, we used to get the feathers and would make some headgears. And when we had any traditional ceremonies like weddings, would either have them on the head, or the ladies would make necklaces for them and they would wear, especially the bride. She used to look very colorful with these feathers from these guinea hens. So that's the Mara River there in the background, and Bungei will be happy to show you the closest wildebeest we have from here. Maxwell, you'd like to know what guinea fowls eat. Guinea fowls will basically eat, let me say they're more vegetarians than anything else, but all birds out here, Maxwell, in the African wilderness, sometimes they're omnivorous, just like us. So should they get insects as they feed, as you see them there, should they pick an insect in the ground, should they pick a worm, they will definitely eat it. But more often than not, Maxwell, I would say guinea fowls are herbivores, more seeds, leaves, stuff like that. So we are staying right here and finding out what could be happening by the Mara River. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, we are coming to you live. So that's the river. The flow here looks a bit slow, which means it could be a bit deep than from where I was in the morning. A small herd of wildebeest right there. I don't know what spooks them. They just took off and they're going in the wrong direction. They should be coming towards the river. That's where they should be coming and cross. But sometimes they see something very small, could be a small antelope like a dik-dik, and they just panic and take off for no reason. But on the other side of the river, we got loads and loads of the wildebeest. I do not know which ones may be crossing. And apart from the zebras, wildebeest rather, we also got zebras amongst them. Very good. I mean, guinea fowls, wildebeest, zebras, just sitting here by the Mara River. You never know what we'll see. We are on an ad break, a TV ad break, and we'll be back with you shortly. Beautiful hills of the Masai Mara. Lots of different habitats here. Hills, rivers, marshes, rocks. We've got all types of habitats that you would see in the Masai Mara. So the guinea hens here is quite a big flock, which I haven't seen of late. We'll see them in 3s, 4s, 5s, but this about 20. So we'll just move on along this river and maybe chance whether we could be lucky to spot something interesting.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Masai Mara. It is very pleasant up here. My name is Isaac, and on camera I have Big James. I hope you've joined me once again for this afternoon's beautiful safari. No worries. Hello and good afternoon once again. Welcome to the beautiful Masai Mara. My name is Isaac, and on camera I have Big James. Welcome to this afternoon safari, and my aim this afternoon is to stick around camp, go to the swamp and see what I can find for you. To start with, we have a very big herd of elephants. Very spread out, which means they're very comfortable, nothing to worry about. Please engage us, talk to us on hashtag Wild Earth, that is on Twitter. Questions, comments are very welcome. Temperatures this afternoon are about 27 degrees Celsius, which is very, very comfortable. You can tell with the elephants, they are not flapping their ears. They are not, under the shade. It is perfect. Lots of, half-grown elephants here. The one to the left is a female. The one to the right is a male. Edward, your question, you say, do elephants do something? Please frame it again. I was talking, I didn't hear it. Do elephants do what? Yes, you ask if they cross the river. Yes, they do cross. A few days ago, we had a two-ton elephant. Usually when they cross, you see they become darker on the bottom side and the same color on the top. Yes, they do cross. They don't have a problem. They are heavy enough, and the little ones usually, get held by their mom's trunks, get pushed, or they are put on the current side so that they don't get washed downstream. They are very good swimmers. They use the trunk as a snorkel, so they do cross the river. I've seen them do that many, many times, and they love water. It's actually a very nice scene to see them, in the water. They splash. Sometimes they actually do rollovers. They love water, elephants. Here, that is a young bull. He's got some nice tusks. I can tell by his build, and also you can tell that his forehead is much more rounded, and also he's got his fifth leg out, which is a dead giveaway. He's got a few notches on his ear, so that's a good way to identify him in the near future.
Welcome to And Beyond Ngala, where we have this big elephant pool that's just about crossing out of the Timbavati riverbed now. And with them, got a whole group busy drinking from a hole that they've dug. My name is Yapi, and behind the camera we have Gerrit. And this afternoon we decided to take the Timbavati riverbed specifically for elephants. And then we were lucky enough to come across an impala in a tree. A dead one. It looks like it's been eaten quite a bit. We have seen tracks of a leopard in this area, but we don't have any sign we haven't seen a leopard itself yet. So we were quite lucky, and I think we might decide to stay here a little bit this afternoon to see if something comes back. It was a very hot day, or the last 2 days, and that's why this carcass looks a little bit older than it is. Still some meat left. Very difficult to say how much, but at least quite a bit on the neck and around the chest area, which I think is still good to eat. Now, it's pretty high up the tree, right in the shade, hiding it from the sun and vultures. And I think in the meantime, we'll have a look and see what these elephants do. Now, if you have a careful look, you'll notice the elephant on the far right has bent straight down deep into the hole. Gremlin, what do elephants eat when there are very few trees around? Now, that is a very good question, because elephants is one of the most adaptable animals that I know of. And in this particular area, they have a wide range within their diet. So this time of the year, when things are slightly drier, you can see they're quite resourceful in finding water by digging for it. And another thing they might dig for is they might dig for plants with fruit that grows underneath the ground. They often go for the roots of certain things. This particular time of the year, they go for the roots of the red bush willow, and they try to get to those roots for the sugars that they might contain. They also go after the bark of certain trees. Wherever there is grass still around, although there's not a lot of green grass, they might go for that. And then there are some trees fruiting at the moment, which they'll also go for their fruit.
This is one of the cutest scenes in the bush. We've managed to catch up with the wild dog pack from this morning, the Pungwe pack, and what you'll see is a puddle of their cubs, 12 of them. 12 little cubs. Too sweet. Can you even count them? They're all on top of each other. Look at their gorgeous little coats. And there's 7 adults in this pack as well. Can you hear their little squeaks? It's just so precious to spend this amount of time with wild dogs. Wild dogs are endangered. It's one of the things that if you go out on safari, it'd be the cherry on top. You see lions, you see leopards, Bush baby, you'd like to know if the wild dogs would eat the hyena if they kill it. In fact, there's 2 hyenas to the left of me that are in the shade that are just kind of following the wild dogs in case they can get some scraps. And what this viewer is actually referring to is that earlier this morning, the wild dogs managed to get hold of a hyena, but the hyena got free. That hyena was Sutu, who you may be familiar with from the Djuma clan. They are unlikely to eat the hyena if they kill it, and that's because a hyena is not only a carnivore, or not only on the top of the food chain like a predator is, but even above that, in that there's a huge loss in energy from eating the meat of a hyena. So eating vegetation, you get a lot of energy, and as you go up, there's energy lost. And a hyena eats other predators as well. It can eat scat and things like that. So it is not of nutritional value, or not very good nutritional value, to eat a hyena, more so because there's a lot of toxic buildup, but you can get a lot of protein from it. So it would depend very much on the reasons for them doing it, which would not be to eat. They wouldn't hunt a hyena, but they could take a chunk out of it and maybe grab a bite or two. But I doubt very much that they would tuck in and devour a hyena. It wouldn't be the tastiest meal. While these guys are chilling, I'm going to chill with them. I'm so happy that we get to spend some more time with this adorable bundle. And they're also in one of my favorite places, at Tembuti Grove. You can see all those colorful leaves on the ground. Some of those leaves are even getting stuck on that gorgeous fur. All just relaxing. Now, of course, they're going to spend most of the day like this, and then as it cools down, they'll start to move about again. Oh. Lots and lots of playing. I love how much like youngsters and babies or toddlers, they'll be really tired, these puppies, but they'll still kind of want to play with each other, pull at things, bite on little twigs like this guy is. Not much has changed on this front. They're still in the shade, trying to shelter themselves from the sun today. About 28 degrees Celsius, 82 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's quite warm. And wild dogs can overheat very easily. They have a pretty small window of hunting or hunting opportunity. And so in the heat of the day, they try not to hunt at all. Instead, they just relax like this. So remember, you can ask me any questions you like. This is happening live. Use that hashtag WildEarth. Chat to us about the smells, the sights, the sounds of the African bush. Here in Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands, it smells a little musty. Wild dogs have this kind of sickly, sweety, musty smell, at least to me. It's not horrible. I don't mind it at all, but they definitely have a specific smell. And I can also smell the hyenas close by. Now that smell is substantially different. Though I must say, I don't think they smell very bad. I think lions smell a little bit worse. But that's all relative. There's not any creature out here that I truly mind the smell of, not even a big musk bull. Now, speaking about them and their hunting techniques and the heat of the day, like I said, it's very difficult for them to stay cool when it's too hot, and that's because they exert themselves a lot when they're hunting. And with the changing climate, global climate, and the heating of the planet, one of the larger detrimental effects is the fact that the window that the wild dogs get to hunt is becoming smaller and smaller because the heat of the day is extending and intensifying for a longer period. And that's a shame because, like I said, they are endangered, and the last thing they need is something else to compromise their survival.
Well, if I would compare my favorite predators in Africa out to wild dogs, I have a different predator here, and unfortunately he's playing hide and seek and entering the thickets there, hopefully going to come out on the other side, and that's a very huge male lion. Very good. Give us a bit of a show. Look at how majestic he is. Marking territory as usual. Very typical of all cats, if not most. They're going to sniff around. I'm not very sure of what coalition this male belongs to. It's on the other side of the river, which we normally do not venture. The Masai Mara is pretty huge. We have one side that we call the main Mara, and we have the other side that we call the Mara Triangle. I am in the Mara Triangle, and that could be a lion that I wouldn't know what coalition he belongs to. I won't be surprised to know that he could be having a female in that particular area. And what they do during the migration, normally they'll come around or along the riverine, and they just chance and just sit there patiently and they either hide or blend in somewhere and wait for the wildebeest. Those are the hippos saying what I'm saying is not right, but I don't think so. What I'm saying is correct. Well, they will lay ambush there, and what will happen is if wildebeest come to drink or come to cruise, you will see them going for one, like what we saw this morning. So I would guess that's what that male lion could be doing. Maybe not the male, because we know males are always a little heavy, a little sluggish, but if he is in company with some other females with some pride, there is a possibility that would happen. Well, as I said earlier, I'll keep moving on, and with luck, we might be seeing some good stuff ahead.
So, we are actually lucky enough, as you can see, these elephants have just finished drinking and they are moving up onto the bank. Now, we just spotted in the distance, right over there, if you have a good look in the shade, it's a little bit tricky to see. Over there we go, there's a leopard. And it looks like a young male leopard. And as you can see, he's breathing quite heavily and he's laying down in the shade. He's just watching those elephants move off. And they've been drinking the whole time, completely unaware that he's there. Just like we were unaware that he's there as well. I think he just moved over, away from the carcass, so as not to draw attention to himself. I heard this morning from the trackers, or they said that They were following the tracks of a female leopard and a young one away from this area. Earlier this morning, they started tracking here. So we suspect this guy has come in and stolen the carcass. And he's filled himself up properly, and now he's taking a little rest on the ground. So I think we're going to sit a little while longer here, and we'll see how this develops.
Here we have got an interesting agglomeration of animals. We've got one bull kudu and a whole lot of ram impalas. And I suppose what's really cool about that sighting is that you can see how big the kudu is in comparison with the impalas. He's massive. He's about 3 times the mass. 4 times the mass of the impalas. And he's just hanging around there because, well, I think he's probably enjoying the safety offered by the extra eyes. Kathy, we have potentially 10 types of antelopes in the reserve, which I can never remember exactly. Kudu, impala, bushbuck, nyala, wildebeest, duiker, steenbok, potentially sable, highly unlikely. I'm missing 2 now. Waterbuck, and I always miss the last one. What is it? Might just be 9. 9 or 10. And then in the immediate area you also find klipspringer. If you find rocky outcrops, so unlikely where we are because we don't have many rocky outcrops, but just south of here you find rocky outcrops with klipspringer on them. North of here and to the east you might find eland. You might, if you're very lucky, far north of here find some roan antelope as well. And Sesame also up north. Trying to think if there are any other antelope. Sharpsgrijsbok, if you go up into the Mopani Veld, you'll find reedbuck in the Vlei low-lying areas. And so lots of different kinds of antelopes. I don't think I've left out too many others. That's about it. So here, 9 species, but most likely 8. Unless I've left one out, which is entirely possible. Oh, a little oxpecker come to land on our kudu bull. Very peaceful scene here in the wind. I think the kudu are probably also out here in the open, browsing on the trees here, because it is a bit windy. And it's definitely very windy up high in the atmosphere because I can't even see the mountains of the Drakensberg from here. They're covered in haze, dust and smoke. We're going to sit here and see what these antelope do, and then press on and see if we can find some elephants perhaps having a drink. Internet people, we are still here. Don't worry. I just had to go silent there to make sure that we were not on television anymore. We are not, I don't think. So we've come on to Simbambili, which is to the west of Djuma. And there's not a great deal going on in the area where I've driven so far. And so we'll probably head back down towards Djuma. I must just tell you, those of you who are sitting watching avidly and who have been long-time viewers, there was a sighting yesterday of none other than Hosanna, the male leopard, on Arathusa. Now, Arathusa is south and west of Djuma. He wasn't close to the boundary with Djuma, but I did patrol the boundary today just to make sure he hadn't come across. I don't think he will, but it's possible. So, I mean, I know I got almost tearfully excited about it, and I hope that it hasn't got your expectations up too high, but we'll keep patrolling the boundary there.
Hello and welcome once again. I'm here at the swamp or at the marsh, and look what we have. More wildebeest, hundreds of thousands. This is where they love to spend during the day because there is plenty of water. The grass is soft. It's like eating spaghetti, and less predators. So to say, sometimes they are predators. This is all part of the migration. Sooner or later, they'll start leaving the marsh because at night, cats come here and so they leave. It is very typical for me to come in the morning and find nothing, but later on in the day, there is more. They have been spooked by something there. I don't know what it is. You can tell everybody is sort of alert. Look at that. Yeah, that is a lot of wildebeest. Remember, this is live from the Masai Mara in Kenya. This is the Mara Triangle in the Mara Game Reserve. We are witnessing one of nature's wonders, the Great Migration, and they are here in millions or in thousands. Rosaline, you ask how often they migrate, the wildebeest. I would say it's once. They're always on the move, but they come and spend 3 months here in the Masai Mara. During those three months, they will cover the whole Mara, which is around 720 square kilometers, grazing, mowing down the grass. They'll move in and out, like, crisscrossing one area to the other. Like, for example, over here we have an easy maybe 200,000. These ones might leave, and in 4 days there might be nothing. Then all of a sudden another herd of 100,000 arrive. They'll be here for another 1 week, and it continues the same until the 3 months are done, and then they head back towards the Serengeti. So it's once a year, but they move a lot every day. Yeah, here looks like they're very rested. They are deciding what to do next. It's very typical of wildebeest. A lot of itching, you can see. They're removing ticks. Well, just to tell you a little bit about this animal, they say that it is made of leftovers. By the looks of it, it's got, horns of an immature buffalo, a brisket of a bison, a tail of a horse, a face of a grasshopper, and a very small brain like a housefly. But they do very well. They compensate all that in numbers.
Good afternoon and welcome to Prideland's Eco Training. We've got something unusual for you this afternoon. It is a tree squirrel with a marula knife, and I'm very quickly going to introduce myself and then hopefully we can have another look at it. My name is TAYLA McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Sebastian. And like I said, we are in the Greater Kruger. We are in Baluli Game Reserve, which is awesome. It means all the animals can move around as they do. But let's see if that squirrel's still there. I can't believe that it hasn't moved. Normally squirrels are quite shy and they don't sit out in the open for too long. Sorry, we just seem to be having some issues with our camera, but now we have got it sorted. But that squirrel has actually found the stone, I suppose the pip or the seed, depending on where you're from, of a marula tree, and it has stashed it in the cavity of a tree somewhere. So we watched it get it, and then it ran to this nice little spot where it's sitting. And what I think it's trying to do is, if you look very carefully, you can see that there are two little holes. Now, that marula nut, or that stone, will have 3 nuts inside it, which are quite tasty. But I think it's already managed to get them out. But it's very, very important for squirrels to sort of stash food for the dry season. So here in winter, there's not much rain in the Lowveld, so this is very, very important for them. Sure, this squirrel's really, really working that stone, trying to get everything. Cheetah Tom, yes, look at it go. Like I said, it's not often that you get to sit and watch squirrels like this. You can also see those little, look at the digits on its hand too. It's got sharp little claws on the end of it. You can see it can handle it quite well, holding on nice and tight, but also sitting firmly on the branch. This is awesome, but I don't know if it's running out of stashed food, and that's why it's hanging on to this nut for so long. Don't worry, squirrel. In about a month or so, there'll be some trees that will get some fruit, and then you'll be able to get your daily sugar dose. It's a bit tough for all the animals at this time of the year, but one of my favorite things to watch of the smaller animals is squirrels. Getting really excited when they've discovered a stash. Sometimes they bury them, or like I said, they'll put them in little cavities in trees and try and hide them away from other squirrels. Is that just delicious? I wish you could hear the sounds that are actually coming from this squirrel as it rasps its teeth up against the stone of the marula fruit, but I think that it might just be a little too far away.
Talking about squirrels, they're actually the ones that made the noise and made us look in the direction where this guy just came from. So he's walked down the bank now, and what we're seeing here is a very interesting occurrence during the dry season on Ngala here. You can see he's completely disappeared into that hole there. Now that is actually a hole that gets dug by the elephants. If you have a look, you can see there's lots of flat patches where the elephants have stepped. You can see a lot of elephant dung. And earlier we saw one of the elephant cows bending down and completely submerging her whole face, even up to her trunk, or at the base of the trunk, into that hole to get to the water. So we know that there's fresh water there, and that's why he's gone to go drink. Now when he gets out of this hole, I think it would be good for our viewers to have a look at just how round his belly is. You can see, look at that. That is insane. All you see is the ears flattened and some eyes as he's scanning the area. Bob, certainly leopards do feed on an impala. At this point, he has got an impala carcass in the tree behind us, where I'm sure he's on his way to. He's just come down from the shade after the elephants have left, and now he's drinking a little bit, and we're expecting him to go. Oof, you can see that took a lot of effort, and he came out quickly. I think it might be because he couldn't see clearly. There's also a bit of wind blowing, and down in that hole he wouldn't be able to hear that well if anything is approaching either. It just goes to show these animals need to constantly be aware of their surroundings, especially when there's food around, and in this case that impala. Now I know that where he is at this point, he's on like a boundary area where the territory of 2 males kind of overlap in a sense, and I'm sure he's aware of it. It's also the boundary territory for 2 females that overlap here. And you don't know, but with the one female, she's got 2 younger ones. It's a little bit older. And then the big male in this area might also come this side to come and have a look for water to drink. Classical leopard style. It's gone from the one big hole, got something to drink. It was probably a little bit deep and maybe he was busy sliding down into it and probably got his feet wet. Jumped out. That might be why he jumped out. Maybe he did get his feet wet. And then moved into the shade.
Well, these guys haven't moved much, but the pups are still playing just a little bit, much like toddlers, very sleepy, but still wanting to play. And one picked up a little bone and was having a chomp down. All pups are still in their puddle. Little cuddle puddle of pups here. Not much movement at all, except for the swishing of their tails and ears to chase away any pests, any flies. There have been quite a few of them around, especially as it's been heating up. Oh, some stretching. They're too lovely. And remember, this is happening live in the Sabi Sands at Djuma Game Reserve here in the western fringes of the Kruger. And you can talk to us using that hashtag WildEarth. Ask us your questions and give us your comments. What a privilege to have such a wonderful sighting this morning and this afternoon. Pranav, you'd like to know, why do wild dogs have such big ears? They certainly do have big ears. They kind of look like satellite dishes, I think. And that's actually a good way to describe them, because like satellite dishes, they're able to funnel in and concentrate sound very, very well. They have some very acute senses, and hearing is certainly one of them, which is why they have these big, large ears. They're really formidable hunters, and from all the predators that we have in the hierarchy here, thinking about cheetah, leopard, lion, hyenas, and wild dogs, they have the highest success rate of all of those animals, and that has to do with the fact that they have very, very good hearing. There's a good example of those big ears, excellent smell and sight. Oh, quite curious about us, looking straight at us. Big ears are very important in order to gauge direction of sound as well as actually collecting sound. This exterior part of the ear, we call that a pinnae. And when sound moves toward it, Having one section that funnels in sound and one section that is behind means that the animal can very easily gauge direction based on the accuracy of those sound waves getting into the ear as opposed to hitting the back of the ear. And the same applies to you. And that gives it a very acute sense of hearing.
To us. Good afternoon, everyone. That is Dumi from NBN Pina. I have Greg right behind the camera. As you can see, we have a lovely sighting of a single bull buffalo. He's just right, feeding, relaxing, not worrying about anything around. So as you can see, the weather's perfect here, and yeah, he's one of the. He's been a dominant, that guy. So now he's been kicked off from the herd. Now he's just wandering around all by himself, trying to get more energy. Then he can always challenge back whoever is dominant at that time. So right now, he look quite skinny, as you can see, because when they're with the herd, when they were dominant, they eat less, sleep less, focusing more with females. And other young bulls will be like giving him big time, trying to take his position, and then he trying to defend that. That's why he get weak and weaker, and then the other youngsters, they like realize now he's weak, and then they challenge him. That's why he lose. Tell me, yeah, affirmative. They can easy, like that single buffalo bull. If the lions, they're not quite familiar with buffalo killing. Yeah, buffalo can easily kill the lion, Tommy. Yeah, he's like he's falling on a hole in there. Look, his hair comes off quite a lot because they wallow a lot on the mud, so they lose so much hair. That's why they're always trying to cover themselves, trying to protect themselves with that. A lot of these ticks in these areas, so they're trying protection. Yeah, we'll just wait for him. He might come across to the road again. As you can see, he's like hiding.
Good afternoon. It is brilliant to see you all. It is a fantastically cool afternoon out here at Tswalu. I did really miss you all this morning. I promise you, I was not sleeping in. I was actually out very, very early to see what the weather conditions was like. But the wind was absolutely howling a gale out here this morning. And we even had drizzle, which is, for this time of the year, highly unusual. But anyway, long story short, the conditions out here were really suboptimal for any kind of viewing of game. I was actually going to go down to the meerkats, and there was just a no-show on those little guys this morning. Be that as it may, it is still cold this morning, still wind blowing. What, this afternoon? It's this afternoon, Davy? This afternoon, yeah. Anyway, Davy on camera and I'm Dylan. And yeah, we're just going to go out and see. I'm actually trying to find an art wolf. I need to find an art wolf. This is going to become an obsession if I don't find one soon. So bear with me. Temperatures are still a little bit cool now for them. If it's a little, maybe 4 or 5 degrees warmer, we'd probably have more luck. But you never know. I think the only way we're going to find out is if we're actually out there looking for them. So let's just go out there and look for them. And ask us questions. It doesn't matter what it's about, as long as it's environmental. Let's not expand our repertoire of questions. Stick with the environmental side. And yeah, let's go have fun.
Our wild dogs as you may have guessed, have not moved very much. Pups still lifting up their heads every now and then. They have the most magnificent coats. So much variation. Lulubell, that's a good question. You'd like to know why they're called the Pungwe pack? It's because they are from Pungwe, which is another lodge close by. So you know how we have the Djuma clan of hyenas because they're on Djuma. This is the Pungwe pack of wild dogs because they're from the area Pungwe, which is north from us. Now these awesome coats, like I said, are very, very diverse. Each dog has its own unique coat pattern. And that's what gives them that beauty, really. Absolutely stunning. Well, it's so wonderful to have been able to share this glorious sighting with you, as well as the sightings from all across the locations that we've been lucky enough to be a part of on this live safari. These guys will be up in about maybe an hour as it starts to cool down. And once they're on the move, wild dogs are hard to follow. But that also means a lot of action. And if you'd like to continue, see what unfolds, please go onto YouTube and watch the rest of the drive. You can just go and look for Wild Earth, and it is happening live. So thank you guys for your questions, your comments, and of course your viewership. We will see you again soon. So bye for now. It is such a pleasure to sit with these little things, even though they're not doing much. I still think they're so cute. So this was the first time that I'm seeing them, or rather, today is the first time that I've gotten to see them, so I'm very happy to spend some time with them this afternoon as well. And luckily for us, it seems to be quite quiet. Not too many vehicles wanting to join, which means that we can sit here for quite some time. Now these little ones are still so aware of our vehicle, or vehicles in general. Luckily for us, we were quite far away and we settled down pretty quickly. But as soon as they hear a vehicle, they're up and about. And I'm sure you can hear this fly that's now near me. Shoo, shoo. I can't wait for them to get up and about because it's just a frenzy. And it's a feast for the eyes. So we will be sitting here until that time comes.
Another warm afternoon, not only for the wild dogs, but also for the crocodiles here on the banks of the Mara River. But, even on a cold day, it's not unusual to see crocs or these kind of reptiles just basking or getting the warmth either from the soil or on a hot day getting a lot of sunshine or vitamin D from the sun. Now, I moved from where I had male lion and came to another area of the Mara River where once in a while we always see a crossing happening. But instead of seeing a crossing, we got 3 reptiles there. But apparently the smell here is not the best. And it's not the best because anytime wildebeest will cross here, many of them will either die because of, fracturing their legs, or when the crocs catch them, and they do not eat them as much. And when they start rotting, there's a bit of a foul smell coming from the water. If you look carefully there, you can see one that used to be a wildebeest, not anymore. Hopefully this doesn't make anybody squeamish. I would, apologize for that. But unlike, say, other predators like lions or cheetahs or leopards, once they bring down their prey, they quickly finish it. Crocs will take the time to feed. And sometimes, if crocs don't eat as fast, as Bungay will show you, we'll have some other scavengers that we call vultures. Beautiful egrets flying back there. Those are cattle egrets. Cheryl, that is a very interesting question. How many crocs live in the Mara? I'm sorry, I may not have a very good answer for you, Cheryl, and ask me why. Because this river is very long, and being long doesn't mean every spot of it has crocs, because some parts of this river runs through villages and people's homes. Ideally, there are fewer crocs there, and most crocs will be within the game reserves. And this river goes all the way to the Serengeti National Park in Tanzania. It's about 400 kilometers long, or 250 miles. It will be very difficult for me to give an answer because, like every other sport, we'll have crocs. But it's something I would really want to find out, maybe from my colleagues or from Isaac or from the game warden. But anybody would be of any help to know how many crocs. And for example, how we have some crocs out of the water, Cheryl, some in the water. Bungay is trying to show you one that is moving the water. So if you come here to count them, you'll count the ones in the water and the ones under the water. You're going to miss them, and your count will not be very good. So look at that. Jane, that's a very good question. Do crocodiles ever fight over food? Many times they do, not once. I mean, if one catches, for example, a wildebeest or a zebra, we saw the day before yesterday, or was it yesterday, there were some crocs. You see, like that one there, it caught a calf of of a wildebeest. It started eating, and then we had two other crocs that came in, and they intimidated the one that was eating, and it had to leave. And what the two that came in, they would come, open their mouth, show how big they are, and just put their teeth out. And if the one that was eating will be intimidated, it just leaves the kill and moves on. Well, I'll spend a few more minutes here, see whether they could get some wildebeest. If not, I will move on.
Well, you're back here at Ridelands, and of course we're just outside the eco-training camp at Ndlovu Dam with a pair of Egyptian geese. And they've just finished a bit of a bath, and now I think they're just preening their feathers. But something else that's in the distance, it is our friend from last night. If you did watch the sunset safari, well, at least I think it's the same one. It is our Deka friend, who is still eating the pods from the leadwood tree. Oh no, it was yesterday a female. This looks like a male. Hey, Seb?
I think it was a female.
Yeah, so this actually looks like a male. I'm pretty sure I saw horns, although we're, really testing the lens capability on the camera today by stretching it right onto the other side. There is the little horns. So this is a popular tree to eat under at the moment for all the Deka. I haven't actually seen much else feeding on the pods at all, except just the vervet monkeys and the baboons have also come through. But it's nice to know that during dry season, leadwood pods are a firm favourite of the Deka. Now, I have to just quickly give you an update of what's happened in camp today, because you wouldn't believe it. We've had a lioness here, the one we saw this morning quite briefly. She came back to the dam. There were also wild dogs and elephants and buffalo. And this is all about an hour before the show started. And now, do you think that we can find any of those animals? No, not even once. But there are some very skittish impala making their way down, but I think everyone's on the sort of cautious end with wild dogs and a lioness on the loose. You can see the ewes at the back are not so chuffed. Maybe they're still here. We haven't seen any tracks sort of crossing over the road, so it's quite possible that they're just utilizing the dam wall and hanging around at the back. Sebastian, it's going to be one of those afternoons. The buffalo are coming on in now too. Can you see them up to the right? So this is great. So this is my new thing that I will be doing, is I'm just going to sit here at Ndlovu Dam every day, and we're just going to count the species. So yesterday I started. I should have done it today when we had all the action at the watering hole. But perhaps it will repeat itself. So we're not going to go anywhere, because I think the dogs and the lion might show up at some point. So that'll be quite exciting. So these are the buffalo that surrounded my tent last night. Hello, buffalo. Don't do it again tonight. That was very unpleasant. Actually, I wonder if I shouldn't play you while you listen to the buffalo. I want to try and play a recording of how close the buffalo were to my tent. Let me see if I can do that. Have a listen. So this is the buffalo right outside my tent last night. That is chewing and shuffling in the grass. But we're not going to go anywhere. We're definitely going to sit with the buffalo and wait for them to come down and have a drink.
We too have got a herd of buffalo here, and most of the herd is in front of us, and there's a straggler that I want to show you here. He's just coming through the bush there. Can you see him there? Oh, I need to say who I am. This is my first time in this part of the show. Is that all right? Hello, my name is James Hendry. On camera is Tabo, Island Style, the Tusker. Let's go back there. There's a poor little calf that has got some sort of injury to its right back leg, and it's struggling to keep up with the herd. And unfortunately, it really is a prime target for any predator. Let me go forward. I think it's going to cross the road just in front of us. There he is. He's with his mum. His mum's looking after him. But it's not nice to see. There he is, limping along. Now a predator will pick that up in a heartbeat. Any predator following this herd or watching it from a bush will pick out that weakness very quickly indeed. And that little thing's going to find itself a target. Unless it can recover, and that's not impossible, if this herd can keep away from the lions for long enough, then and the little buffalo will grow to be a big buffalo. They're heading towards One-Eyed Pan, which is a little waterhole not far from here. Excuse my radio. Let's just move on a little bit. It's quite a nice muddy wallow. I suspect that they'll be mucking around in the mud fairly soon, which should be quite fun to observe. Just round the corner here. Good day. Hello. Always look at you, so surprised. Yes, they are. Some of them at this pan, I think. Oh, and here's the little one coming across the road now. I'll actually see what the problem is. It looks like it's fairly used to walking on three legs, though. It's not even attempting to put any weight on that leg. Although the muscles haven't atrophied in it, so perhaps they've, maybe it is a relatively recent injury. It's not putting any weight on that leg whatsoever. It's horrible. Yes, Jenna, poor little baby buffalo indeed. Miserable situation it finds itself in. But if you're going to be like that, and you're going to be such a tasty morsel for lions, being in the middle of a buffalo herd is second best to being in the middle of an elephant herd. Because these big chaps that you see walking up, bringing up the rear, are definitely going to protect you, if they can, from lions.
It's nice to have some buffaloes on the property as well. In fact, one of the updates I heard about this pack yesterday when they were first found, but they weren't in an area we could go to, was that they were actually circling a buffalo. I thought, wow, that must be epic if they managed to take that down. They're moving about just a little more. Which bodes pretty well. It's getting a little bit cooler. The sun is really nice and gentle. And there's a lot more playing going on. Some pups are getting up, walking from one puddle to the other puddle. You can see the other vehicle has moved now. And though they'll lift their head up, they're definitely doing a lot better. Now, all young animals have to get used to the vehicles again, or not again, but have to get used to the vehicles, even though the adults would be. And they take a leaf out of the adults' book and they go, well, if the adults are happy, they don't have anything to worry about, but they can't help but get a little bit startled every now and then. But they are doing really well. Shaggy dog, you'd like to know how old the pups are now? The pups are about 11 to 12 weeks. Yeah, it's about 2.5 months or so. 10 weeks, they would have abandoned the den pretty much, and the pups would have started traveling with the pack, which clearly they are doing. And sometimes the adults would leave them in a little patch of grass or bush, and they're not exactly stashed, they're not well hidden or anything like that. They're just left there. The adults don't travel too far from them, and the pups are able to find them through scent and their sense of hearing as well. But at the moment, everybody is chilling together.
Welcome back, guys. We just located the cheetah. As you can see, she's actually quite mobile at the moment. She just missed impala. That's what you can see. She's up on a mission trying to get something to eat. And how cool is this? She just come across a lovely cat like this. So she's like checking everywhere because she's been chasing some impala now. She knows that she's been seen, and now, as you can see, like she's checking behind. And because of the wind here, the cheetahs, as you know, they're a bit more skittish when it's windy because they're not too sure if there's anything around, like other big predators like lion or leopard or hyena. So they have to be too sure. They always keep our eyes and ears listening and watching just to make sure. Yeah, looks like she's quite mobile. She's kind of disappearing in there. So we might have to try to move because the way she is now, I think she's back on the road again, trying to find a good direction. Yeah, we're trying to follow up and then see if we can relocate again.
We have arrived here at this one-eyed pan, as this little waterhole is called, and one of the buffalo has decided that life is too much and is going to take a long, muddy rest, and the another one is now giving horns to the mud. I think it looks quite fun. I'd like to go and push my head into that mud myself. I'm not sure that I will, though. I'm not sure why it's doing that. There's no water here to drink. There was until yesterday, and it looks like the elephants came and muddied up what remained of the water. And now a few of the buffalo are enjoying a bit of a wallow. And the rest are giving consideration to coming down here. Now we're getting up. Must be quite difficult, I think, getting up out of the gloop. Or we might just lie down again. Well done. A couple of others coming down to see if they can enjoy a mud spa as well. I think they came here expecting to find some water, and they're now going to have to head on to probably towards Sydney's Dam, which is just north of the Djuma boundary. If they carry on in the direction they were heading, that's where they'll fetch up. sit here and see if the rest of the herd comes down or if they carry on towards the other water.
Welcome back to the Masai Mara. I hope those buffaloes get down and dirty because that's what they love with the mud. Here we have our Masai ostrich. Yeah, our largest bird here, and that is a male. Males have got those black and white feathers. Their necks are grayish when they're off season. When they're in season, their necks and legs get a very pinkish, almost turning red. It is assumed that those colors get the females excited when, for them to come into season. So very much like in birds, males come into season. He is accompanied by a female who is somewhere here. I don't know if we can find him. There we go. That is a female. He's got that total, one color, gray. They don't change much. It's just gray. Basically, I'll just tell you a little bit more about them, although they're not in season. When in season, a male attracts lots of females where he does an elaborate dance. He goes down on his knees and flaps his wings, bobbing his tail, his neck one side to the other. The females get excited and they present themselves, themselves to him. He will mate with multiple females within a couple of days, and whenever ready, a female will choose an appropriate spot on the ground where she starts laying the eggs. Other females will follow suit and lay eggs. Once they have laid enough, up to around 40 to 50 eggs in a nest, the one female that decides that she is ready to sit on the eggs will sit on them. Maternal instincts are very strong, such that she will recognize her eggs and she will gather them or pull them towards the middle, and that guarantees that her eggs will hatch, and so she will continue her generation. That is how special she knows her eggs are. And once they hatch, the male will come back, although during the sitting of the eggs will be that one female that decided to sit on the eggs together with the male. An ostrich can run up to 20 kilometers an hour, but it's got endurance. It can run up to about 1 kilometer non-stop, and it can turn in very sharp corners or tight angles. Yeah, once the eggs are hatched, the male and the female take care of them, and they can be very, very aggressive towards anything. I have seen them chasing a hyena away from the chicks. Mortality rate is very high during the first few weeks of the young guys, because too much sun, they might die, they might get lost in the long grass. Jackals, pythons, hyenas prey on them, so mortality rate is very high. Of those maybe 40 that hatch, maybe 10 will reach maturity. Bye-bye ostrich is gone behind the bush. I'll let you enjoy the female as she catches up with her husband. Is she coming, the female? I don't know where she is. There she is. Thank you very much.
The buffalo have done... You'd think I've had this entire time to think about what I was going to say, and then I tried to say 6 things at once. Sorry about that. I was about to say the buffalo have come down to drink, but they are about to leave. Some of them even went for a swim, which was quite nice to see. It's not often that you get to see buffalo swimming around. In fact, I have seen them cross the Mara River before at cul-de-sac crossing a couple of years ago, which was interesting. They actually pretty good swimmers powering through that water. But there are the big old bulls with their heads covered in mud. And you can see that one with his bottom towards us is literally sunk down to his knees and tossed his head around in the mud. And it was the happiest I've ever seen a buffalo, which is not often. Now he's going to have a drink. So if there's anything behind the dam wall, best they be careful because the buffalo are going to head that way. It might be good for us. Might chase something out and around. But you can see caked in mud that's already been dried, so maybe this is from yesterday. Obviously buffalo love to wallow in the mud whenever they can. They're notorious, and there is one on the left-hand side that's now... I'm waiting for someone to slip here. We almost had an elephant slip the other morning, and these buffalo I don't think are as sure-footed as an elephant. And a couple of times they've lost their step. No, he's going to go straight down. That way he can't embarrass himself. Now we should get a good demonstration of buffalo wallowing, which I think you've already seen with James. Megan, you're too kind by saying that buffalo have such character. Oh, I don't know. I feel... Look, except the one on the left. I hope he keeps rolling. Can you see the other one? Yeah, look at him. He tried to go all... pretty much do a full roll onto his back, but I think he's a bit on the wide side. Yeah, buffalo for me, they just always look like they want to hurt somebody. They're not happy animals. But I suppose when they're in mud, they're very happy. It's very graceful though. It was also impressive watching them come down the steep banks. They definitely do it a lot better than the elephants. Are you going to be able to get out of there? Look at that sleek mud all slick on his side. Just rolling over to the other side. Oh, that's going to be so nice. Your skin is going to be so tight, all good for the paws. And of course, the ticks don't stand a chance. I think he smiled.
So, this leopard's not quite rolling around in mud, but he is full enough to be able to roll. We had a little bit of a search and came across him in this tall grass, and as you can see, only his ears are moving. Some rapid breathing going on there. He's quite full, and it was quite warm, so with that digesting in the full belly, all of that effort often makes these cats breathe a little bit heavier than usual. You can see behind him is the tree and the riverbed. So that little gap straight through there, the impala carcass is in that tree right behind him. And I think when he gets up here, he'll more than likely head there to continue feeding. Now one might ask why he's not up in the tree. When he's got a carcass there, it'll be safer, it's higher up. I think it's as simple as it's more comfortable on the ground. I think if you have a look at his ears moving, look at his face, and the heavy breathing, you can see he's slightly uncomfortable. Rosalind, how long do leopards sleep for? So, I think it depends on the day, and to an extent it's also a little bit weather dependent. In this case, he hasn't had any bothers today, so I think he's probably been sleeping most of the day. Like any other cat, he can sleep a number of hours, like at least 6 hours, all the way up to more than 10 or even 15 hours. But generally they're a little bit more active than, say, the lion. And even though they do sleep in short bouts for, say, most of the day, especially like from late morning up until early evening, he doesn't sleep a constant deep sleep. He'll break it up, he'll get up every now and again, reposition. Now in this case, that heavy breathing is a sign that he's a little bit uncomfortable. Now, I'm sure a lot of our viewers have had too much to eat before, and that uncomfortableness you feel wants to make you lie down after you've had a big meal. That's exactly what we are witnessing here now. So every time there's a noise nearby, like a bird calling or a tree creaking, that's when the ear moves. Sometimes he'll even pick up his head. I think at this point, because the ground is flat grass, soft grass, that's why he's so, or laying down on the ground. Karishma, how old is this male leopard? This male leopard is almost 3 years old at this stage. In fact, no, sorry, I'm lying. He's a little bit younger than that. He's about 2.5 years old at this stage. And that means he's at a very interesting and important age in his life. He is currently going through some changes. I guess one can liken it a little bit to puberty in some senses. He is becoming sexually more active. He's realizing his age. And we've even started seeing him marking territory.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
Welcome back. We're still here with the beautiful cheetah. As you can see, it just looks like she heard what I've said, just saying now. She walk a little bit and she come lying here. Oh, looks like she's listening to exactly what I'm saying. And because after chasing, she lost a little bit more energy. She's trying to gain more energy so she can be able to continue for her hunting. As you can see, she checking around. Look at this. If you take a look close, you can see how beautiful this spot. And yeah, she's one of the adult female, not a young female. By looking a look around the neck, normally when they're still young, you'll be able to see like a fluff, a little bit more fluffy on the necks. But that one, she completely, short, very short hair on the neck, and that shows this is an adult female. Wow. Yeah, she looks very skinny as well. She's very thin. She hasn't ate for maybe 2 days already. I'm not sure if she's gonna get up just now, but it looks like the way she's moving, but also the kind of wind like that. Every single branch disturbed by the wind, and also disturbing her. That's why she keep on listening, looking. So it would be nice if she move. Randy, cheetah, it depends how big the zebra, and then yes, they can actually hunt like a young zebra. Like a very, very small foal of a zebra. I've seen a female cheetah taking down a very, very small ram, but a foal of a zebra. But also she has to be very careful because the zebra, they can easily defend their babies. So yeah, really they can manage sometimes. But the adult zebra, no chance. Wow. And what? No, he's like not ready. But I think it's a bit more open here. It's much better than lying into the lot of bushes around, because you'll have to be lifting your head up every now and again. Beautiful, beautiful shape, beautiful face. I love cheetah, the way they react, and they're very smart actually as well. Like example, if they have a cubs, I've seen what they do when a lion comes around them. They will challenge the lion looks like they can't run very fast, so the lion can focus on them, let the cub a chance to run away from the lion, and then they start running. But sometimes they get killed, but most of the time they survive. That's how they're saving their cubs. We're interesting to know if the cheetah is pregnant or she's been mating with the males.
Isn't it a clue? There you go. Go on. All right. There's two little bat-eared foxes trotting off in the distance there. Yeah, this wind is playing havoc with animal sight. The wind is playing havoc with animal sightings out here today, unfortunately. And yeah, we saw two little bat-eared foxes there that just trotted off. So yeah, I think we're going to keep moving. It's very, very quiet out here, so I wouldn't hold your breath about great sightings out here this afternoon with this wind and the temperature. But we will give it a bash anyway, just because it's fun and we can. Our recession.
Here we have got some elephants just next to the buffalo sighting, and these are two bull elephants who are feeding on a termite mound. And I've been toying with whether or not to share some fairly sad news with you today, and I've decided that I should, because I think it's an important part of the wilderness, the incident that occurred this morning. Many of you will remember that there was a guide at Chitwa called Sheldon, and Sheldon was unfortunately killed by an elephant today, not at Chitwa. He was on another reserve away from here. And it's very, very sad news. And he was an experienced guide. He knew what he was doing. He was also uber sensitive. He was a very sensitive guide. And the circumstances around which it happened are unclear. But it's just such a strong and powerful reminder to us about how we must never be complacent out here. And although it is obviously a very dreadfully sad incident, there's nothing really positive to be said about it, except that it's a reminder to the rest of us to appreciate the animals as wild. And we often are, perhaps because we speak about them in a way that makes us consider them to be less than wild, sometimes we forget. But it's always very important to understand that we are in a very wild area where animals will react in certain ways to human beings that we need to be constantly aware of. And it's also a reminder of how nature is cruel and kind, very unfortunate incident, but it happens all the time around nature, not just with human beings, but, animals die in nature all the time, and animals are born all the time in nature, and nature doesn't seem to really care. It is neither cruel nor kind. It is just as it is. Anyway, we wish Sheldon all the best on his next journey to wherever that is. And I think that he deserves an enormous amount of appreciation for the sensitivity and knowledge that he brought to guiding. Anyway, very sad. On to more cheerful matters. We do have Hukumuri, the male leopard, on Simbambili this afternoon. There are 3 people with him at the moment, so we're going to wait for a space. And I was just going to step with the buffalo. These elephants popped their heads out behind that termite mound, and I thought, well, perhaps that's a sign that I should just give tribute to one of our fallen comrades. These are 2 bulls. There doesn't seem to be a herd around. and many of you sending your condolences, which I'm sure would be appreciated. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Jeff.
Just getting an update on Hukumuri. I can't copy you properly. I'm still at One Eye Pan. I'll make my way to try and get a bit closer and hear you. I'm in no rush, though. Okay, copy, thanks. We'll come there now. All right, so we'll leave these elephants and we'll head towards Hukumuri while we've still got a bit of good light. They've made a space for us, and so that's what we'll do. Sorry about that. TRISHALA is incommunicado for whatever reason. We're on our way to Hukumuri. We've left those two very relaxed elephant bulls, and I'm hoping we're going to catch him in some great light, because the last time we saw him it was almost dark. Let's speed our way along. It's a little bit far from here, and I'm sorry that the radio is making a horrible noise. It is simply because I have to leave it on, though. Otherwise we won't know where to go. And we do want to know where to go. Over the bumps.
Ooh, Hukumuri would be great. So glad I can talk to you now that I know that you can hear me. It is that time now where the dogs will be starting to move. Puppies upon puppies upon puppies. And a curious somebody. Aha, it is a Swazi. Hello, boy. Good to see he's doing well. While you watch these dogs here, I'd also like to take a moment. Oh. You definitely don't want to have a race with a wild dog. They're very pursuant. And, Swazi's going to learn a valuable lesson there. What I was going to say is I'd also like to take a moment to think about Sheldon and the fact that I actually thought about him today during the wild dog sighting at Chitwa, because he's often helped me, especially with wild dog sightings in Chitwa when I just started. So let's just watch and enjoy for a couple seconds.
Stopping for pause now.
Welcome back. And I'm back with my young male lion, and he's already working on the kill. He had hinted it, we hadn't seen it, but he's revealed it, and he's working on it. Basically, if you look at his body structure, there's no doubt he's been eating well, nicely rounded, fat, he's got padding everywhere. Yeah, remember, a big percentage of this animal is muscle, especially the forelegs, the chest, the neck, the jaws, the back legs. It's all muscle because it uses strength, power to bring down its prey. This is a young male that must accumulate a lot of extra fat and actually become big to be able to intimidate other intruders in the coming weeks or in the coming years, to be able to dominate a pride. There are our scavengers. They are already packed, waiting for their share of the meal. Remember, they play a very big role in making sure that nothing goes to rot. Very important for our ecosystem. Let's go back to our lion. Lion's tummies, as you can see, he is full. They stretch. They are very much like elastic, so they will while stock, you say it's one big full lion. Yes, it is, no doubt about that. And I was talking about the belly. The stomachs are like elastic. They stretch. The more they eat, they stretch. Now he's opening up the gut of the animal. Sometimes you wonder how lions can survive on meat alone, but that does contain they do get about 0.01% of vitamins or vegetable from the intestines or the inner tummy. And you see that what it's eating. And that's why sometimes they have to eat a lot of meat to get those extra vitamins to keep them going, because you cannot live on meat alone. Yeah, let's see what he's gonna do. Usually, they are very smart. If they open the belly early enough, and it is windy like now, the smell can travel long distances, attracting unwanted attention from hyenas and jackals and maybe other lions. So sometimes they make sure they're full before opening the belly. And this is the case here. And sometimes if they open it by mistake, especially when if there is a feeding frenzy, they will have to cover it using grass or even hide it in the bush. Make sure that there is minimal, smell, being transferred. Beautiful, look at him. He's going to be one big male lion, but I don't think he's going to have a big mane because it already looks very scruffy. Let's see what he's doing. Yeah, this is making me hungry. Okay, I'll let you enjoy, see how a lion, uses its mouth to eat. And choosy, being very choosy, you can tell it's not eating everything. It's going for specifics.
Welcome back, everyone, again. We are still here with our beautiful female cheetah. She just currently is moving slowly. Nice wind blowing to the direction. She's actually in the right wind direction of hunting. She's just taking so easily for now. But sometimes she just starts like running. Yeah, well, it's a lovely afternoon for her. I hope she's going to come across as a good ahead of impalas, and then she can have some dinner. Look how good the camouflage comparing with this dry bushes and dry grass. that make very difficult for the prey to see her. She can easily walk very close to them without knowing she's there, except the windy direction. Otherwise, she will be okay, that's where she's going. Remember, areas she chased an impala into this open area, but they must be forgotten by now. That's why she's actually slowly moving. Is cheetah actually a solitary animal, especially for the female? And normally you find a cheetah with the cubs or the male on a collation. Otherwise, cheetah will be a solitary animal. Adult cheetah always all by herself, unless she had the cubs. So because we worry about losing her, we're going to start slowly following her, try not losing her.
We have just had the most magnificent sighting of Hukumuri. Fortunately, I can't move right now. There he is. Now, Hukumuri, for those of you who don't know, a male leopard. Let me move again, Theo, so we can get a decent view of him. And he has a bit of a sort of, I guess, heroic story in that he came in from nowhere, took over territory, and booted out one of the most fancied leopards of the area, the Anderson male, or certainly muscled his way into a territory between his and Tingana's. And now he seems to have been losing out slightly to Mowati, the male leopard. And I must say, he's looking skinny. He's looking very skinny about the hips. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything wrong with him. I just mean that he hasn't eaten for a little while. And he lost the sight in his eye, we think, to an accident with the warthog. Yeah, he's looking very, very lean.
Yeah, which station? On standby behind James. Elvis, you can start making your way. We're now on the east.
Alright, let's move again. Oh, it's going to mark. Sorry, Theo.
Keep coming, I'll make some space for you. Lovely.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's wonderful. Isn't that gorgeous? Go for it. Just going to have a vehicle pass through. Yeah. Sorry, there's just a vehicle going by. It's quite funny. The people on that vehicle are taking pictures of themselves, trying to get the leopard in the background. They're not bothering with taking wildlife pictures. Let's go again. Oh, no, he's coming down. Hey, let's wait. Okay, let's move. I'm not sure what our best approach is going to be from here, whether it's to go around through the clearing or to bash on through. We'll probably bash on through.
you so much for coming to us. This is fantastic. We've been with this lioness now for about 15 minutes. It's been quite cool. So literally as the buffalo herd started slinking up over the dam wall and disappeared, we heard a squirrel that was alarming, and I turned to Seb and I said, that's interesting. We know squirrels tell a big story. And then, I kid you not, we just saw some ears and some eyes popping over the dam wall, maybe about 30 or 40 meters from our vehicle. And it was young Lagatha, as this lioness goes by. So she just hangs around on her own. So she's come right to the eco-training camp. She's had a drink. And it sounds like this afternoon she chased the wild dogs during the middle of the day, and she stole the remainder of their kill. They'd managed to bring down an impala. Not that it was very much, from what I'm told, but you can see she's got a little bit of a belly. But I don't think she'll be completely satisfied. Where are you going to go now? If she goes over the dam wall, unfortunately, that'll be the end of the sighting, so hopefully she doesn't disappear right away. Maybe she'll just pause briefly and just relax up top there. But I think she's after a meal. And just behind there is plenty of impala, duiker, steenbok. Lots of inyala go back around there too. Isn't that so gorgeous? Very nice with the dead trees in the background. But unfortunately, that is the end of our lion sighting. Unless she decides to pop out on the other side, but we'll have to go all the way around. And maybe we'll be lucky enough to get another view of her. Yeah, Sammy, it is very cool, especially for us, because we don't get to often see the cats. So it really, really is nice to spend some time. There are some buffalo just to the right of me also coming down to a drink, but I think we're going to... there's a hole there. I think we're going to probably leave the dam now. Very nice.
So in this Ngala, nothing's really changed with this leopard. He's repositioned a little bit. And it looks like he's finally found a very comfortable spot. Except for the flies. That little twitch right there, the ears twitching. It's the flies as well as the grass. If you look carefully, there's a little breeze coming through. And you'll notice that there's one piece of grass that looks like it's just touching his ear every now and again. The back, and maybe that's why he's flicking it. Enough to make him roll around even. You can see that little hump there behind his shoulders now where he was laying with his head. It looks like part of a termite mound. And with the grass on top of it was soft enough for him to lay down. His breathing has slowed quite a bit. I think it's also because it's cooled down a lot from earlier. Except for that roll, there wasn't much else moving in the last few minutes, and it looks like he's still quite comfortable in the spot that he is, and I'm not sure if he's going to move up into that tree anytime soon. From the looks of it, he's had quite a bit to eat today. He did pick up his head quite a lot just now for birds and sounds and noises of things like that. There we go. Something's drawn his attention. He looks a little confused. Ooh, there's some impalas. Some impalas that's just come from the direction that he's looking at. They are completely unaware of him now. It's a little bit difficult for us to get a view of them, and I don't want to move at this point. This should be interesting to see what he does. He does have food. Therefore, he might not go into this heart and soul. But he is a leopard and also the ultimate opportunist. Michelle, he is too cute for sure. A too cute, very deadly animal in a situation like this. You see that stare in his eyes and that immediate focus, still kind of blinking his eyes in a manner that you can see he's just woken up, but he's immediately that predatory instinct has kicked in. I can only hear them running somewhere off to the back of us. I don't have any view of them anymore. And you can see his ears is also picking up on that sound of the hooves moving. Let's see what he does. Now he's behind some very, very tall grass, and I think what might happen is he might actually just try and get a better view, if anything. So I think we're going to sit here quietly and we'll watch and see what he does.
He's making his way down south, and I don't know how long we're going to have him before he disappears out of Simbambili onto Arathusa. Interestingly, to the area where Horsana was yesterday. Well, Horsana was quite a long way south, many kilometers south. I'm sure many of you will agree with me, though, that he's not looking as thick-set and stocky as he did about a year ago. And I think it's quite difficult to understand exactly why it is these cats lose condition, when they lose condition, if there's something that just kind of switches off. Because I would have said he was young to look like he does now. That's not to say he won't put on condition. He's not looking awful. He's just looking hungry and a little bit like he's lost some muscle mass. But he's young to be losing muscle mass at his age. If I'm not mistaken, he's 9, approaching 10. He's just walking straight past a vehicle. I'll move out the way. There we go. Get him now. He is unfortunately behind quite a few sticks, but so it goes in the woodlands. Lovely golden light catching his coat. So I'd be very interested to know what anybody else had to say about his current condition. And this is purely, you must take what I'm going to say now as anthropomorphic, because that's exactly what it is. It's purely from a human perspective. I always considered Tingana, his major rival for the time that we knew him, to be a very considered leopard. He didn't fight anything he didn't need to. He didn't hunt unless he had to. He was very considered about his approach to life. This guy always seemed to be much less considered, much more willing to take a risk and have a fight. And maybe that's absolute garbage, but it's certainly how it looked to me. And maybe that's taken its toll. But like I say, it could be utter garbage. There he is, straight in front of us. Sugar bits, he could be sick. It's certainly possible that he could be sick. Like I'm saying, I'm probably not articulating it very well, but you know, these cats, when I think back to Mvula, who was a wonderful leopard who we enjoyed for many years, he just one day lost condition. it was like a very sudden decline, and I've seen it with lots of male leopards where they just come to the end of the road, really. And I don't know what triggers that. I don't know if it's just a genetic trigger. I don't know if it's pressure from other males, what the story is. I don't think I think it would be incorrect to jump to the conclusion that this cat is finished, that he no longer has a territory. He's definitely in his territory. He shouldn't really be feeling too much pressure, I don't think, because from here off towards the west, there's not a huge amount of male leopard activity as far as I'm aware. So maybe he will just find himself shifting west. He certainly seems to have, because he doesn't come on to Djuma much anymore. But maybe he's feeling pressure from Hosana to the south. Hosana, of course, is now 4.5 years old, and so he's gaining mass. And apparently, those who see him say that he's a big fellow. I mean, they're going to, though, because he's a male leopard, he's growing in size, and he's famous. And so, by default, no one is ever going to say, oh, Hosana's looking a little small.
Welcome back again, everyone. We are still here with our lovely female cheetah. As you can see, right in front of your screen, just posing nicely. It's trying to scan in a landscape where she's facing. Actually, she's trying to make sure she doesn't miss anything or any dangerous around. But as you know, she's busy hunting for now. But she's trying to make sure. If she spots something like smaller, like impala, she'll make sure she's going straight through there. You see right behind that, far and across, the landscape is beautiful. And the eyesight are amazing. They can spot things in miles away. They can easily manage to move across wherever she spots something. And it's incredible to see. They can spot something over the river, and they'll cross, lose that, but they'll go in exactly the same direction. It's amazing how they can market the place. If you look how it looks like we're losing slowly the sun. Solo, yeah, cheetah can easily hunt. Something smaller than impala ram. They'll go for a big male impala, no problem. And yeah, definitely solo. That's the main food from this area. They go from big male impala or small female. They go for that for sure. Solo. Yeah, it was amazing to see that when we're driving past some impala also trying to run away from him. So now she has nothing left in this area. She's all by herself. She's like trying to find out what is available around. But so far, so good. She hasn't spotted anything yet. It looks like she might come to the point where she's gonna stop hunting because as you can see, start getting a bit dark in this area. And as you know, cheetah doesn't hunt at night. They let the other predators to hunt like lions and leopard and hyenas so they can sleep. So that's why they have to make sure they hunt in the daytime so when they can see other predators.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
Well, speaking about hunting something, the adults have gotten a young impala, and bits have been brought back for the pups. There's another adult there in the background. They're all going to it now, trying to get some more food. They've been having a really, really good time. They are machines, these animals. Hi, Julia. You're 12 years old. You'd like to know, why do wild dogs have a white tail? In fact, most of them do have white tails. They don't have to, but their genes, which are the things that determine what they look like and what they function like, mostly codes for this white tail. Now, this could be what's called a follow me sign. That means when they're hopping around the bush, they can have their tails up and wagging. And I could let the parents know where they are and let the pups know where their parents are, which is more important. Follow me signs, those things we see on lots of predators' tails. We think they are for that, but there isn't really concrete evidence to suggest that or to show that it is for following me. But that is basically the best guess. How diverse their coats are, and the fact that most have these white tails but not all do, speaks volumes to actually the genetic diversity they have in these coat patterns, which is very, very good for the population, obviously, to have such a diversity. Hear them. Oh, look at that. All after a piece of meat. Can you hear those high-pitched squeals? Oh, look at them playing. Karishma. Oh, look at them all. You'd like to know how many wild dog packs there are in Djuma? There's not a pack that is specifically from Djuma, like this is the Pungwe pack from Pungwe. There are certain packs we see more often. Oh, somebody's got a giant African land snail shell. That's quite interesting. More food's arriving. Regurgitating. Sorry, Karishma. Look at this little one's got something. Jump, jump, jump. So there are certain packs that we see more often. We get the Investec breakaways, Investec Mbali. There's the open pack. But we don't have any packs that call Djuma home. In fact, wild dogs don't have territories, they have home ranges. A territory is an area that is protected. But a home range is an area that the animal moves through and in, but is not defended. There's this one dog with that shell in its mouth is just not giving up. There it goes. Oh, we have some practicing happening here. bit young to start, but can always practice, I suppose. Here comes the one with the shell. Ooh, a silly sausage. Look at that. That is too cute. So much fun to be had. Now that the bellies are full, the sun is setting, it's nice and cool. I feel like I'm having fun now that they're having fun.
Welcome back. Unlike the wild dog puppies that are up and very yuppie and happy, my young male lion has decided to take a nap. It is typical of them when they're very comfortable and there is no competition to sleep in between their meal. And it is allowed because he has devoured quite a lot of that wildebeest. I haven't seen any other lion around this area, so he is the main culprit who has eaten all this meat. You can tell, like I was saying before, he looks very good. Talk a little bit about, young male lions and the life they face in the future. It is very difficult, especially if he's alone. It means he has to find a weak link, which I mean a male that is not capable to challenge him, which is very difficult. It is better when they're together because it's easier to take over a pride or to intimidate other lions. Once they take over, they have to win confidence of the females for the females to come into season. And when females feel confident, they'll come into season. Sometimes they synchronize their matings. And when they give birth, they'll give birth at the same time, almost at a difference of about a week or two. So that's a little bit about, young male lions and what they face. Thank you for that picture, James. Those were wildebeest, just to show you how close the next meal is. It's not very far at all. Look at the belly. It's very, very full. Unlike a few months ago, when the wildebeest were not here, this would be a perfect hour for them to leave and start finding what they're going to eat. This would be good hour to utilize this last light to find a warthog, a zebra, Kremlin, you ask if the lions in the Mara are bigger. Of course they are. I can tell you this is a 3-year-old, but already he's big. By the time he's 5, he's gonna be almost double what he is. So actually, yes, they are bigger. Yeah, we'll be, if you follow us, you will see the females, you'll see the males. They are larger, much, much bigger. I would compare them to lions in Serengeti. I visit the Serengeti a lot, and they are big together with the Mara ones. Look at that view, $1 million view. That is the Olololos escarpment at a distance. It stretches a long way, all the way to Mau, a place where the Mara River starts. Remember, the Mara River is the heartbeat of the Mara ecosystem because it disperses, it distributes the water all the way down to Serengeti and drains into Lake Victoria. Here I still have my scavengers. I think they have decided that this is a place to roost for the night. Very precarious spot. It looks like they're standing on high heels or walking on tightrope, trying to balance. I would find another tree. It looks like the vulture and the marabou stock are having a standoff. Yeah, it's not comfortable at all. I don't know why they're there. Yeah, okay, the vulture has decided to leave. Okay, we're back with our lion. He's not doing much and making me sleepy. I don't know if he's got a brother or a sister. Hopefully I will be able to see them sooner. He is part of the River Pride, who are very scattered now. I haven't seen them for a while, but they're very scattered, and I don't think they'll be coming back together soon until, it's leaner time. That's when they're gonna come together. Yeah, it's very windy here. As you can tell, the trees, the shrubs are moving, the grass. And it's also very chilly. Remember, this is live from the Masai Mara, coming courtesy of Wild Earth. Talk to us on #WildEarth on Twitter. Yeah, I don't know what's happening down there. Maybe let's have a look. Yeah, what's happening further down, because our lion has decided to sleep. Yeah, that's the other view of where the next meal is going to come from. Yeah, that's how widespread they are. You can see the swamp there, and there's some elephants. This is a very beautiful spot. I hope you're enjoying it. If I was those wildebeests, I would be leaving that area now, because things might get rough as soon as it's dark. The lion is not very far. It looks like some of the wildebeest are leaving this area from the back. I hope these in front follow suit. Most of these guys have crossed the river, because to get to where we are, you have to cross the river. So 90% of them have crossed the river to be here. Sasi Kathy, your question, please come. I just had Mara. It's very windy. Sasi Kathy, you ask, are there no male wildebeest in the Mara? I don't know what you mean, but there are very many, very, very many. But I think the area I have been, more male wildebeest. Yes, they're there. They're not as many as the females. I thought you asked if we have, male wildebeest. They are not as many as the females. Sorry. Look at that look. Very intense. I don't think he's liking my voice. Yeah, that is intense look. Yeah. He's going to be a very big boy. Considering he's 3, I think he's going to be a very big boy. Sooner or later, he will go back to his meal and maybe go look for a fresher one. What did you hear? He's putting his head up. Sometimes this time of day is when I see females or other males coming, to join one another. But over here, there has been nobody coming to join him. I've been looking around, but I don't see anybody. I'm gonna move and try and find something else as I head out. He's looking at me as I sit down. Yeah, very intense look. Okay, I'm gonna leave you to enjoy your meal, young guy.
It could be anything, Isaac. Just driving through the midst of the huge herds of wildebeest, you'd bump maybe into another lion. But we also did the same, driving, and we stopped here, and we found these scavengers having an early dinner of what I would think is also another dead wildebeest. And the most probable predators that might have brought it down, my guess would be lions. Of all the predators we've been seeing around, or of all, I would say, dead wildebeest we've been seeing, they have been killed by lions. We haven't seen, like, any wild dogs like what TRISHALA has, or any leopards. So most of the kills we've been seeing around, we're thinking the killers have been lions. Now, vultures, when it comes to cleaning what we call our savanna or the conservation areas, be it Masai Mara, Serengeti, Juma, vultures are very important. Sometimes we call them, the garbage crew or the garbage collectors, but they do such a wonderful job just to make sure what is left behind by the predators is eaten, and that way living a very healthy ecosystem. The two species of vultures there, the one jumping around there is called the Ruppel's griffon vulture. The dark ones there are the African white-backed vultures. And the tall guy there is the marabou stork. You can hear how they so they keep chasing each other away. And what would happen here is the bigger the species of the vulture, the stronger, this type of the vulture has better chances on the eating table. The marabou stork there, having been outnumbered, has zero chances of getting close. Tom, you got a very good question. Do vultures see better than eagles? I would say, Tom, that's a very difficult question for me today, because apparently, Tom, both of them use eyesight for survival. They use eyesight to, spot the food of both vultures and eagles. And to be able to know the exact one that does better than the other, it's rather tight. But giving a guess, not 100% good answer, Tom, I would say the eagles could slightly edge out the vultures in terms of sight. You have always heard the joke we say, a better eye or a good sight like an eagle, that way. But out here, in the African wilderness, it could be a different ballgame altogether. Because we have seen vultures flying way up in the air when the thermals rise up and heating up, and they glide looking. The next place they land, they got a kill. So definitely it's not because of smell, it's because of their good eyesight. A little windy, as you can see how the grass is being blown up there by the wind. I don't know how far I am from where Isaac is, but we've seen sometimes same lions, killing one wildebeest, kill another, maybe out of the 3 or 4 kills, eat one or eat 2, and just leave the other one to the vultures. Now, what we want to do is to move on. To me, from what I saw earlier, or from what I can see from where I am, that case looks a bit fresh, not a very old one. So what I would think maybe the killers could not be very far, and I want to browse around and find out if we could see the killers.
Now the sun is setting, which means that this will be our last segment with these little ones. And parents have come back every now and then, regurgitated a good chunk of meat. I mean, a really good chunk, very substantial bits. It's just been an absolute pleasure. I'm sure you all have loved it just as much as I have. Surrounded by puppies. Can I ask for a better way to spend the afternoon? Oh, somebody slid down. Oh. They're very, very, very entertaining. When they were getting fed, the one with the shell still had the shell, said, "No, I claim this. I bet you there was meat here once." And it would be right, but that shell's going to offer it no nutrition. Comes an adult. There comes an adult. Just watch. Maybe some... Whoop. Karishma, you'd like to know if they rely more on sight or smell during a hunt? I'd say a bit of both. I think hearing is also a huge one. I think they use all of that together in order to have a successful hunt. That's what makes them so successful. They have an excellent sense of smell. Nice large nostrils to allow great smells to get in there. Those large ears to allow them to hear. And of course their sight. Now their sight is not as good as trichromatic animals like ourselves or any of the apes and monkeys, but it is still pretty good. Of course, they have the tapetum lucidum that helps them to gather more light, especially when it's dark. It's starting to, the sun, like I said, is starting to set, so they're going to be using more of those rods than cones at the moment, and they need extra light for that, so they've got that kind of superpower, I would say. I wish we had. Can you imagine if we had that? So that altogether contributes to a very successful hunt. Look at them play. So much play. Rosalind, you'd like to know how many calls do wild dogs make? They have quite a repertoire. Growls, bark like calls. As well as their whoop, whoop, whoop call. Then you have these kind of twittering sounds. And that high-pitched sound as well. That's not as obvious as the twittering. Everyone's behind that bush now. Oh, out they come. Just when you thought you could relax, no. All your siblings are on there. Elizabeth, you say you like the baby's squeal noises? Yep, that's the one that we call that. That's the one. That's the call, Elizabeth. That's that twittering kind of high-pitched sound. They'll do that to beg. That's what that little one was doing now. Begging. It was on its back. Trying to get more food out of the adults. But it seems like all is done. Remember, they also have their sneeze that they use to communicate with each other. They're not just sneezing because their nasal passages are all irritated, but they are actually communicating. It's quite a wide range. All right.
We've come across a herd of elephants now peacefully grazing through the guarri thickets. I'm not sure why they've chosen to show you their bottoms, but there it is. Not much we can do about that. We can't prevail upon them to do otherwise. Hang on, there's one on our left-hand side that we can look at. The face thereof. Hukamuri disappeared to the south, where we couldn't follow anymore, so I'm afraid we left him. Well, we didn't have a choice. And so we've come back onto Djuma, and we've now got elephants. That'll do us. It's been a bumper afternoon, really. In the background, you might be able to hear the arrow-marked babblers babbling to each other. Otherwise, just the rustle of the wind and the gentle crunch as an elephant walks through the grass behind that one.
Stations closing this Madashi sighting.
Christy, elephants live for around about 65 years in this part of the world. Sometimes less, sometimes a little bit longer. And you'll find that their maximum age is probably around 70 when they are in areas where there is no stress and where they've got nice soft food that they can make their last set of teeth last on. Remember that they die normally when they starve to death after their teeth have worn out. That little chap's got a very long way to go before that happens to him. Tiny little thing, probably only about 2 years old. It's nice. And there's one more on the other side that's now come out and showing us slightly more than a bottom. There we go. Naturally, I've parked us right behind the bush. That's it. A few steps forward. Beautiful. What's she eating? Yeah, no, not grass. Picking herbs, I think. The odd bit of grass, but that's a Waltheria plant. Waltheria flower, I think. I don't see them being eaten very much. Those very common and very, how would we describe them? I always describe them as the flower that keeps, or plant that keeps on giving, because they stay green for so long. There's a bit of grass going in. But it's quite specific foraging underneath the guarri bushes, sort of in the shade or around the rootstock, where I imagine there's probably a bit more nutrition than there might be away from the rootstock. And this particular area, you can see, is quite salty. It's quite sodic, and we know that because of the plethora of guarri bushes that are growing there. Those are those green bushes that you can see there, the evergreens. Normally, you'd expect this kind of landscape on a lowland area right next to a riverbed, a kind of almost like a floodplain area. But here we're pretty high up, actually, on Djuma, and somehow this particular area has also turned into a sodic area. Little bit of geology there. Gosh, a fly the size of a bird just flew past me. It took my head off. I was also attacked by a stick, I'll tell you that a little bit earlier. I drove over a stick and it jumped up into the car and hit me on the leg. And I said, Yera, which is a kind of Afrikaans exclamation, and Theo nearly fell out of the car. He thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever seen in his life. Jenna, very good question. Why don't elephants have hair? They don't have hair because they don't need it in order to stay warm. And they don't need it in order to stay warm, in order to insulate themselves, for two reasons. One, they live in areas that are generally pretty warm. And two, they are very big. And because they are very big, they do not lose heat very quickly. They lose heat very slowly. And they can retain heat quite easily. And at the same time, when it's very hot, I'm just going to move forward a bit. When it is very hot, they retain heat, and so they need to be able to lose heat relatively fast because they are so big. And if they had hair, it would stop them from losing heat quickly. So that's why they don't have a lot of hair, and it's why you'll find that in any particular climatic zone, the bigger the animal is in general, the less hair it will have. So here you've got elephants are the biggest. They've got almost no hair. Rhino also have very little hair. Hippo no hair, but they've got a lot of blubber. And then just down from there you'll get buffalo. And buffalo have got some hair, not a huge amount. And as you get smaller than that, so the animals tend to have more and more hair. Go ahead.
So, no luck on the aardwolf, but, and I'm very, very excited about this, the pair of goshawks that we've been looking for the past, 3 weeks now, we've just got them. And the one on the left there had actually been eating someone. I don't know who it was. It was something quite small, maybe a lizard or something. But anyway, he gobbled it up. And then the one on the right actually flew in from about 500-600 meters to the left of where they're sitting here now. And remember, we're really trying to find this nest. So I'm hoping that this means that this pair's got a nest very, very close by here somewhere. And again, I don't know why I say that. It's just that they keep frequenting this particular area. It's a relatively small radius that they're in here, and we're just getting them way too frequently for it to be coincidence. And you can see we actually are quite far from them. That's probably 140 meters there, give or take. But at least you can get an idea of the landscape that we're in there with the dense vegetation. So I'm hoping, David and I, we're just going to sit here a little bit, and if they fly off, hopefully they'll kind of guide us in the direction that the nest is, if they're nesting. We are in the breeding season now, but it doesn't mean that when the breeding season starts, all the birds decide, okay, let's start building a nest today. Donk. You know, that doesn't work like that. So you've got this like wide range of a wide time frame for them to actually start nesting. That one's cleaning his bill, or her bill actually. In raptors, it tends to be that your females are slightly larger than your males. Now, if you've got an individual bird sitting there, it becomes a little bit more challenging to say, well, to do a size comparison, because often it could be like 15 to 20% of the size, the body mass larger. But if it's an individual bird, it's very difficult to say that. But here, when you actually got two birds sitting next to each other, I'd say that one on the right's a female. So Lauren has asked, what do these birds eat mostly? What is it? These birds, of all of the raptors, raptors, a bird of prey, of all of the raptors on Tswalu, these birds are probably the most adaptable with the widest range of prey items of any of the birds that occur here. They are super generalist. So you can get them snatching birds out of the air occasionally, literally. They'll actually chase birds through there, grab them out there, things like sandgrass and that. They will catch snakes. They will chase mice on the ground. You know, I've actually watched them with Franklin. Red Bull Franklin, where this Franklin has taken refuge inside a clump of bush, dense bush, and these goshawks are actually like walking around on the ground outside the bush, like trying to like get in. So they'll take nestling birds that are on the ground as well, lizards, anything. So they got a very varied diet. We've seen them catching meerkats. We've seen them catching ground squirrels. You may recall that we actually had the remains of a ground squirrel carcass a little while back, and that was this same pair. That's probably 300 meters from where we are now, where we've got them with the remains of the ground squirrel. So these little guys are super adaptable, which makes it interesting in terms of survivability of these birds in the face of climate change. Species that are very specialist will tend to battle more as climates or environments change, whereas birds like this can actually persist.
So there's two honey badgers busy moving off. We were lucky enough, we found a leopard on the way here, another leopard, and then we came across these two guys. Now the one in front looks like the mother, and then the one at the back is a smaller one. And they've got a rock monitor that she must have killed, and then she pulled it out of a dead tree stump. Now this is actually quite incredible. You can see the tail's up high, so she's trying to have the little one follow her through the tall grass to see where she's going. That is actually incredible and very rare to see. That monitor was just as big as she is, and unfortunately where they're going, it'll be very difficult to try and see them again. So I think let's keep trying. We'll turn around and we'll try and see if we can get another view. We've had an incredible afternoon this far. We were very lucky to come across a small herd of impalas alarming along the way here. And we found another leopard, a female leopard that's very tricky to find. And now we've come across that. So a really good afternoon here at and beyond Ngala.
I am just investigating a termite mound for signs of early season re-emergence from the termites, and unfortunately for you, I have found some on this side, and you won't be able to see it. Anyway, what's happening is slowly the termite mounds are opening up with the heating up of the weather, and they've been sealed off pretty much for the cold weather, and now slowly the little tunnels are being opened up, water is being brought up from the water table and used to build new little tunnels, and then as the summer takes hold, they'll be opened up fully and the termites will come out. I always find it a bit of a celebratory time of the year. We're moving towards the clearings outside camp to see if there's anything going on there. That was known as the termite dance, in case you were wondering. Were you impressed, Theo? I thought so. I thought you would be. It's quite difficult to impress these young chaps. I think I impressed him there, no end. He even nodded at me. He even acknowledged my presence, which was, I think, quite a good step forward. You know how the young are with the old. Let's see what we can see through here. We had some elephants here earlier. Maybe they have popped down in this direction. Also a little bit of a trip down memory lane, this tree here. You don't often see the end of the life of a tree like this. You know, they're landmarks. This was an enormous Scotia tree, and it was fully leafed when I arrived here 5 and a bit years back. I can't believe it's that long, but there it is. And the elephants killed it, unfortunately, with their ring barking. And it stands, well, it still stands here on the mound. But often, you know, you use these trees as landmarks. The Scotia tree on the termite mound at the junction of Elephant Carcass, for example. And you seldom actually see these Scotias come to an end of life. You often do with the marula trees. But these chaps tend to survive, mainly because I think they are on the termite mounds where it's difficult for the elephants to get at them. Anyway, such is the cycle of nature, as I was talking about earlier. Right, unless I find something spectacular, this will probably be my last segment for this stint. I will be back at the end of September. Thank you very much, everybody, for your support and kindness, and we'll see you anon.
Oh, James. Always miss working with James. Always. And always enjoy when I have a stint with him, even if it is just for a few days. Now I am keeping an eye out for Shadulu, who is somewhere around here. I think Rex might have relocated her. Rex, confirm I can join. Nigel is out. Yay! Thank you, I'm on Ingwe Ali. We've been spoiled today, absolutely spoiled. Night Bright. You'd like to know what animals in Djuma are considered a keystone species. The obvious one are elephants. We've also got bees. Those are really, really important species. Keystone species means that if that species were to be removed from the environment, they would actually collapse. The environment or the ecology of the environment would collapse, much like a keystone in a doorway. Let us pop that off and have a look here. So like with bees, if they don't pollinate, that's a whole collapsed ecosystem. Same with elephants, because they can affect the environment so much, almost disproportionately. That's why we consider them keystone. Alright, let's see if we can see this girl. Alright, we need to go into infrared, everybody. And we'll be doing that if FC is ready for us. Three, 2, 1. Ta-da! Those were my infrared hands. Now, she's in that drainage, so it's going to be difficult for us to see her, especially in infrared. But we can always try. Too big? Okay, this is gonna be a tough one. Okay, I can... Oof, this is gonna be a tough one. Let's try this way. Alright, I'm just gonna get into position and hopefully we'll get a glimpse of her before show ends.
So we've had a somewhat quiet drive this afternoon, but in our defense there, not that we need a defense, it has been the coldest afternoon we've had, probably what, in the last 3 weeks? Yeah, comfortably. Our real field temperature this morning was -5, just out of interest. That was our real field temperature, and we had drizzle on top of that. So, yeah, today hasn't been the most ideal day for sort of looking for stuff. And even this afternoon while we were driving, I mean, things were just like, whatever we were seeing was just tucking away or just bolting. That was kind of because of the breeze in it. But it's all part of it. This is part and parcel of the outdoors, and, you know, we can't have it all our own way. But and the fun thing there is, coming back to like art wolf, and this is what like really gets me. The more difficult the thing is to find, the harder I want to work to find it, because I really, really, really want to show you an art wolf. And yeah, it'll just be fun, you know. So I think I'm gonna start putting in a little bit more effort there with it. We'll leave the geology alone for the moment, and we'll focus on some of the smaller things like art wolf, because those art wolf are going to be absolutely awesome. And these goshawks, I really want to get these goshawks for you as well. And now I'm just rambling on because it's fun, and it is a absolutely marvelous afternoon out here, because who cannot enjoy being out on a game drive vehicle in the Kalahari? Tony says it is a beautiful sun. We're just seeing a panning sunset over here. It is stunning, stunning, stunning. And David and I were chatting about it 2 minutes ago, saying that Gendre, when he was here, and even 6 weeks ago, at this time of day, we were already doing proper sunset shots. And now that sun is still like probably 10-15 minutes above the horizon over there. So, but it's what a marvelous way to spend an afternoon, is just being out here. And it's great that you're all with us. So, you know, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, what you're doing. I mean, you can be just in a rainforest in Costa Rica. I mean, it's just beautiful out here.
Guys, she was coming our way, and I said to FC, let's get a quick glimpse, and she changed direction. But I will try. Let's just see here. Okay, this 60 seconds, they say. There we go. Quick glimpse. There we go. Hooray. It is Shidulu. Juma's last-minute leopards are still around. Thank goodness. And she is gone. Absolutely gone. All right, guys, it's that time of the evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I wish James all of the best. I know you'll look forward to seeing him again. And thank you all for your questions and your comments. See you in the morning with Steve, and goodbye for now.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning and welcome to a glorious sunrise here from the low veld of South Africa. It's probably about 18 degrees or so, and you are on a live African safari.